Templates are a tremendously useful element of Coreal Painter. What they allow us to do is to go in there and create a document that always has a particular size with particular content ready to go whenever we need to open it. So we're going to create a custom template right now, and we're going to focus on doing one that's going to make good use of the Divine Proportion tool. So we're going to come over here to File, New, and we're going to set up the aspect ratio for this. So to begin with, I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to set the width for 1000, and I'm going to set the height for 1618 pixels. Now, the reason why that is because the aspect ratio of the Divine Proportion is 1 to 1.618. We're just going to go ahead and hit OK. And now you can see that we have a portrait document that is set up to use the Divine Proportion. Now, if we come up to Window, come down to Composition Panels, Divine Proportion, move this guy down like so, and say Enable Divine Proportion and turn it to one of the portrait modes. Whichever one, it doesn't matter, they will all fit just fine. So let's say that this is a portrait mode that I happen to like. Now, this is going to always work for Divine Proportion, but let's say that I want this document to be at a particular inches resolution. Before I create any artwork here, what I want to do is I want to come up to Canvas, Resize, and we're going to change the inches. So we're going to switch from pixels to inches, and if you were using centimeters, you could choose centimeters instead. And let's say that I want to make this exactly 11 inches tall, like so. And if this width doesn't automatically change, then just put a period there and that will force it to automatically change. You can see that our resolution has switched now from 150 to 147. And the reason why is because when we made this document larger, we've reduced the amount of pixels that can exist per inch. But we want to set this for something else. So I'm going to turn off Constrain File Size, and we're going to set this for something like, say, 300 pixels per inch. Now you can see that my current size went from 7 megabytes to the new size of 26 megabytes. So I'm going to hit OK. And what you're going to see is we end up with a much larger document. I'm just going to go ahead and say Control minus a few times to zoom out on this so that we can see the whole thing. And now what I want to do is I want to go to Select, and I want to make sure that we're doing a Select All. You can hit Control A if you want to do that. And then what I also want to make sure is that I'm using JSON brushes. You can see I'm on JSON brushes. If you're not, then come over to Brush Library in the flyout menu and choose JSON brushes. From there, I want to make sure that I'm using from the gouache category the flat weight stroke variant. And I want to use a color that will mean something to me for a guideline here, because what I want to do now is create my bleed guidelines. Now, if you're not familiar with what bleed is, the idea with bleed is that when you print an image as an illustrator, and you want the artwork to go off the edges of the paper, what you do is you draw and paint past the edge of what's known as the bleed line. And everything that's past that bleed line is trimmed off in the printing process. But what happens is it makes the artwork look like it goes right off the page. But what we need to do is we need to come up to Canvas, Canvas Size, and we're going to add a certain amount of pixels around each size. Now, in this particular instance, I know that I want a 1/8 of an inch bleed around all the sizes. And I know that my document size is currently 300 pixels per inch. And what that breaks down to be is 37.5 pixels on each side to create 1/8 of an inch. But I can't put in 37.5 because it doesn't accept decimal values. So I need to put in 38. So I'm going to type in 38. I'm going to hit Tab, 38, Tab, 38, Tab, 38. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Now what you'll see is that our document has now scaled out so that it's exactly 38 pixels larger on each side, or 1/8 of an inch, depending upon how you want to look at it. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to come up to Select, Stroke Selection, and it's going to stroke with that flat weight stroke with this main color of cyan. Now this layer here, I want to set it for multiply, and I also want to lock that layer. Now if we turn off the Divine Proportion and we hit Control D to deselect that selection, you can see that little blue line. And if I just go ahead and put my focus by tapping on the main bar up here and then click, you can see that nice blue line, but it's on its own layer, which means I can throw it away at a later time if I don't need it. And it's locked, so I can't change it. So if I put my focus back on my canvas now, so that that's where I'll be doing my drawing and painting, re-enable my Divine Proportion, now I'm ready to go ahead and save this document out as a template. Now if I come to File and I choose Save, I want to go to my templates folder. Now let me show you how to find it. Now first of all, if you did what I said in the beginning of the training and you created a Painter 12 install folder shortcut on your desktop, all you need to do is go to the Painter 12 install folder, support files, and templates. However, if you did not set up that folder, if we go to File, Save, And then we go to My Computer, C Drive, Program Files, Corel, Painter 12, Support Files, Templates. This is where you'll find the Templates folder for that. Now what I want to do is I've already made one for landscape orientation, so I'm just going to name this one Portrait. Like so. And make sure that it's a RIF, and then make sure that we're embedding the Adobe RGB 1998. Now the reason why is because this is destined for print, and like I said before, Adobe RGB 1998 is going to work better with CMYK. And we're going to hit save. And now if we just simply close out this whole painter, because we don't need anything open anymore, and we just come back over here to Coreal Painter 12, reopen that. It'll take a second. It's going to add that to our templates list. So now if we come over here to File, I'm just waiting for, there it is, my layers palette. Go to File, and we're going to say Open Template. And you can see that we have DVP, Divine Proportion, Landscape, and Divine Proportion, Portrait. So I'm going to open Divine Proportion, Portrait. And you're going to see there's our layer with our guidelines. It's locked and it's set to multiply. We're set to work on the canvas, and we're using the Divine Proportion that's working within the boundary of our printable area. So this is a really great setup for doing any kind of portrait-based work that's using the Divine Proportion for your composition. Now you can set your paper grain, you can set your canvas color, you can set all kinds of things, any number of layers, channels, selections, you name it, the whole nine. So go crazy, set up your own templates, and then use them. They will save you lots of time and frustration for repetitive document setup.